my friend, and you probably know him, Jerry Doyle, calls it a combat to commerce. You have people with huge investments in defense spending. And that's one of the reasons the super committee failed. Let's look back at the super committee. Pat Toomey from Pennsylvania and Patty Murray from Washington State both have Boeing in their districts. Do you really believe that congressmen and women are going to cut the budgets that would hurt their own constituents? There's no way. So we've allowed the system to create itself in such a way that people cover their constituents by ensuring this huge spending goes on without a real focus or purpose within the context of the spending, and we've got to get a handle on it.
Wow. What does your gut tell you right now? I mean, not making predictions, but right now, the current course we're on, 60-40, 60 for an Iran attack in the next year? Or is it 60% not a war, 40%? I mean, what's your gut?
I do believe, based on everything I'm hearing and what I believe, there's a better than even chance that there will be an attack before the fall. I think it would be towards the fall, and it'll be one of those things that I think there will be clear indications it's coming, despite the Israelis trying to hide it. I think that this is patted down probably through the summer, and something will happen this fall. Like you point out, either everybody will rally around the president because we have to fall in with the Israelis, or the gas prices will drive them out of office. It could go either way, and I think that's one of the calculations the White House will continue to try to ascertain within Poland. Again, I believe the president's speech yesterday at the AIPAC organization was purely political. Had nothing to do with the national security realities. If he really was focused on diplomacy, Alex, he should have done that 3 years ago. Instead, now we're behind the power curve, and I think it's all about political equations designed to get him through and get him reelected in November, one way or another. So,
what do you think about admitted George Soros type State Department programs to destabilize and mess around inside Russia? I mean, I don't think they're going to be successful doing that. I think they're going to completely get Russia to unify its elite in an anti-Western stance that'll probably cause more trouble down the road.
I agree with you. I mean, the Russians have their own interests. The Russians, there's an old saying back in the Cold War, the Russians used to say, what's ours is ours and what's yours is negotiable. And so, they are now reasserting themselves as a global power. We have to understand that. The more we mess around with them, I think the more we have the potential of doing bad things. Frankly, maybe we got to look at playing the Russia card as we did during, as Nixon did with China during the Cold War.
Exactly.
And I think we need to look at how, the Russians and us have a lot of common interests if you really sit down and look at it. So I think we ought to be looking at how we can align interests together to do things to be maybe a global ally rather than.
Can you imagine if the U.S. started becoming a partner and trading with Russia? It would be great for both economies. But again, special interests don't want that. I mean, that's what Ron Paul. People say, well, Ron Paul, he wants to be with the Muslim extremists. No, he understands this empire is on its last legs.
Right.
What's your take on Ron Paul?
Well, I got to tell you, Alex, I've said this publicly, I think his policy is the most realistic on Iran. The more we pick them, the more we poke them, the more the people will be apt to unify around the current government. We really don't want that. So I think we need to be very careful to say, look, we are against your government developing and having nuclear weapons which could be used for purposes of creating war. At the same time, we're not against the Iranian people. So it's a tough thing to do, but we got to do that. And I think Ron Paul is right in that we need to look at how we can reach out and negotiate and be involved in trade with powers, and at the same time limit our focus of using force. I think we're too apt to use force, like we did in Libya, and take a step back and figure out what is really in our interest to do. So I'm hoping that the other candidates will start listening to Paul and some of his common sense. At the same time, I think he wants to pull back too much. I think we need to maintain order. We are the big dog on the block, so to speak. I think it is our responsibility to maintain lines of communication, lines of commerce, because it is in the best interest of the world to keep that lifeblood flowing. And if we don't do it, we allow it to fall to someone else. I don't think they will be all as kind as we are. So,
well, I just think the special interests running this country have proven that they just run off to their armored, Swiss redoubts after they suck countries dry. And what do they think they're going to do after they've imploded the U.S.? I mean, they're going to bring the whole world into chaos, and it's time for the elite to realize how much danger they've put everybody, including themselves. Colonel Shaffer, a best-selling author of Operation Dark Heart, of course, OperationDarkHeart.com. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Look forward to talking to you in the near future.
Thank you, Aisha. Thanks for having me. Great to be on.
You bet. Great to have you. All right, there goes Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer. Really intelligent, informed guy on a wide spectrum of issues. I'll hit some other news. Then we've got a guest joining us from Syria. That's Syrian Girl. We'll just leave her at that. Very interesting and informative. That is coming up. Then I'm going to air some clips from my Dallas speech. It's now up in high res at prisonplanet.tv. By the way, coming up in the next hour, we're going to have Syrian Girl from an undisclosed location joining us. And she is Syrian, breaking down her perspective on what's happening over there. In fact, we'll put her on screen here for just a moment if people are watching on prisonplanet.tv. And just so folks can see her there, we'll be going to her again at the start of the next hour. So there she is on screen. We'll be talking to her here in about 5 minutes. Okay, some of the other news that we've got here, obviously, that needs to be covered. In a new Ohio poll, Ron Paul most competitive against Obama. There's literally hundreds of major polls now in the last year that show him beating Obama better than any other candidate. But does the GOP leadership want that? No, they want to go around blocking Ron Paul everywhere because he's the only person that's a real candidate on the Republican ticket who is not completely insane like they are. Also, Paul Watson's got a report coming out anytime. In fact, let me hit refresh on Infowars.com and see what's going on there. No, it's not up yet. He's going to have a report very, very soon on all over the United States. They have military at public events, including Austin, directing everybody. Just total acclamation for martial law. Some of the other articles at Infowars.com. HR 347, another step in the elimination of the First Amendment. NATO invasion of Syria set for this month. Paul Joseph Watson, big article. But it's not an invasion. It's a peace mission like Libya. That's all part of the Orwellian nature. And if you question that admitted lie, that, no, that's a war, it's not peace, they're like, shut up, conspiracy theorist. Questioning anything we say is evil. Obama's second term odds spur rush of gun buying. Record gun sales, and people say, we don't trust the president, we think he's a criminal in major studies. And they say they're worried about collapse. Again, globalist, we've been there warning people, you're not going to get the jump on us. Don't try to start a civil war. The police and military are going to join us. I can guarantee you the military is. 70+% give their money to Ron Paul in the military. They give money. Well, then that's got the system worried. You may be able to steal the election from Ron Paul, and I told folks that was going to happen. You still got to support him because he gets the word out. But he is the real nominee. Continuing, Afghanistan failed war from a false empire. Holder to justify killing Americans on foreign soil. And we have that other big report here. U.S. court approves warrantless searches of your cell phones when the cops pull you over. So that's some of the crazy news on that front. I may have to suspend this because I don't have the money to hire more shipping people. We got like 600 orders over the weekend for the 100 Infowars business cards, 2 bumper stickers, and a citizen rule book for 1 penny. All you pay is the $4.95 for shipping, and that is the shipping cost is $4.95. Because, I mean, at this rate, they can only ship about 300, 400 orders a day. It's going to cause a problem. But I'm going to keep it up there for a little bit longer and then maybe increase the price just a little bit because I can't even... I'll lose even more money if I hire more people and then try to ship it out. It's one thing to give stuff out at cost, but I can't lose money or we won't be here. And we got a bunch of deals on the website. I'm leaving it up one more day, and then it is going. All my films for $99, plus Jason Burmes's film, normally $380. So that's a 70+% discount, and that will end tonight just because they're overwhelmed back there. And they said, do we have to change it now? We promise it'll be gone tomorrow. So they got to put a new special up when that's gone. It's going to go up to like $165 for all of them tomorrow. Still a great deal. So Infowars.com, refuel our tanks in the Infowar. Infowars.com. Bunch of specials up there. We got bumper sticker specials at cost as well. We've got the spray paint stencils, the spray paint legal and lawful areas like your own property with Infowars.com. You can also call 888-253-3139 to talk to our crew and order that way. 888-253-3139. Back in 60 seconds with Syrian Girl on Syria. Stay with us.
You are listening to GC.
All right, we're joined for the next 30 minutes by a young lady who goes by the name Syrian Girl. And, of course, when we ended up getting her contact info, because I've seen her on a couple different YouTube channels speaking out very eloquently, I thought, I bet she's a listener. And sure enough, she is. And we're honored to have her for the next 30 minutes, joining us here on the radio. And, of course, people can watch her if they're watching on prisonplanet.tv. She comes just from an undisclosed location for her safety. The West is funding the attempted overthrow of Assad. Not saying he's a wonderful guy. The point is they're trying to use al-Qaeda and others, al-Qaeda, to do this. And Syrian Girl joins us to go over this. This is a short segment, as you know, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what you believe, having a family in Syria, what the real score is, what's really happening there, because obviously it's another proxy war just like Libya. But what's your view on the whole situation as a Syrian?
Well, that's exactly right. It's a proxy war being waged by NATO, the Arab countries, spearheaded by Qatar, which has the biggest U.S. military base in the region right there. And they control Al Jazeera. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that satellite news channel, but it was in the media a lot during the Iraq War, and it was proposed as a anti-U.S. media station, and it was, so much hoo-ha about how evil Al Jazeera is, but in actual fact, it was controlled by the U.S. all along. Their allies, and this Al Jazeera is currently the driving force, the media driving force behind all of these foreign fueled insurgencies that is being referred to as the Arab Spring.
Well, I have to concur with that. It's so clear whenever I'm watching CNN with Anderson Cooper, the same guy that cheered the overthrow of their old puppet in Egypt and then, cheered the humanitarian bombing and tens of thousands killed against Libya, to see him cutting to this particular young man, reporter who's there, who one day is speaking in a, yes, I am in Syria, and then the next day he has a British accent. Clearly it's actors giving us babies being killed out of incubators, Libyan rape gangs raping the women. Turned out that was a lie. It's clear, dumbed-down war propaganda. What is it like for you, being Syrian, watching all this unfold?
It's quite infuriating, but from a very young age, when the Iraq War was starting and what happened in Libya, I always knew that one day Syria's turn would come. So in some ways, I'm quite prepared for it. But the drive to act is still there. It's really upsetting when your family is there and their living conditions is getting worse and worse, and you'd like to go there and see them, but because of the current situation with your bombings happening and insurgents running around, it makes it difficult, to say the least. So from a personal